Okay.
All right, this is an interview at the Best Western Hotel, Delaware Avenue, Buffalo, 22nd February 2006, approximately 1 p.m. Interviewers are Wayne Clark and Mike Russert. Could you give me your full name, date of birth, and place of birth, please?
It's Donald S. Rogers, March 28, 1925, born in Wilson, New York.
Okay. What was your educational background prior to entering service?
I graduated from high school.
All right. Were you? Do you remember where you were and how you heard and your reaction to Pearl Harbor?
Yeah. I was home, and my sister's boyfriend used to come on Sunday afternoons, and he came in. Did you hear the radio? Hear the radio? He said, "Oh, they bombed Pearl Harbor." Oh Lord. That's about all I remember where I was at home.
Mm-hmm. Did you enlist or were you drafted?
Oh, I was drafted. But I think at that time, as the war progressed, everybody was drafted. It was nothing. It was no enlistments weren't. They just went one way, just by drafting.
All right. When were you drafted?
Like in May 1943.
Okay. Where did you go for your basic training?
Camp Fannin, Texas.
All right. What was your basic training like? How long was it? What was it like?
It's a good question. It was hot and dry in Texas, I know that. I was not, but
probably about 8 weeks, I think.
probably. I really don't remember how long it was, to tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm. Was this your first time away from home?
Yes, it was.
How did you feel about that?
Well, I was ready to go in. I thought because everybody was going in, it was just a thing to do. You wouldn't, in order not to have to go in the service, you'd have to hide in the woods or something.
Okay. Did you get any specialized training at all?
Not really, no.
Okay.
You were trained for the infantry then?
Infantry, yeah. We went to a Camp Robinson in Arkansas. They called it BIRTC after Camp Fannin. It was Branch Immaterial Replacement Trainings, and so you were trained just to be a replacement most anywhere.
Is that how you went overseas as a replacement?
Right.
How did you go overseas?
We went over in a fleet of Liberty ships across the Atlantic, into the Mediterranean, past Gibraltar, and to Naples, Italy, I believe.
Okay. When were you assigned to a unit? How long were you there before you were assigned?
Oh, just as long as it took us to get up to where the unit was, which were they were just past Rome at that time. Of course, the war was well progressed by that time. It was I was 19 and going over on the ship, so it must have been in early part of April when we got to Italy. So.
Okay. What unit were you assigned to?
The 34th Division.
All right. Did you have much time before they put you in combat, or?
Oh, none at all. I just went along with the crowd.
What was it like? What was your experience like?
Well, it wasn't very good. They always sunny Italy. I was like Italy. All I remember in Italy is it being damp and cold. But I suppose it was warm there. It was warm at times, but I guess you remember the bad parts.
When was the first time you came under fire?
I don't remember.
What was it? Almost
probably not long after that. Right?
Could you talk about your time on the line, some of your experiences?
Well, I could. What do you want to hear?
Well, things that stand out.
Things that stand out. Well, time to think about. I mean, I remember one time we were getting shelled very badly, and I said, "Wait, they're gonna." So there was a big natural hole in the ground. They said, "Oh, let's jump in there." And they said, "No, they're too close to us. Let's get out." They stopped for a minute. Let's get out of here. And then later the shelling stopped. Then we went back past the hole where everybody wanted to jump in. A shell had hit it directly. They wouldn't have found enough of us to to bury it, you know,
Mhm.
things like that.
You were wounded at one point, right?
3 times.
I was wounded 3 times,
Were it 3 different occasions?
3 different occasions.
Could you talk about those at all, or?
Well, if you wish.
Yes.
Sure.
I know, I think the first time we went out, like what they call the night patrol, you went out beyond the lines, and you waited there in case the Germans came through on their patrol, and then you would intercept them. But before we got out where we wanted to go, apparently the person ahead of me stepped on a landmine, which was of course dark. I can't say for sure, but what they call a bouncing Betsy. It would bounce and then hit you in the face. Well, whatever happened to him, I really don't know. It hit me in the face and the shoulder. And I was telling somebody the other day about that. When we went back, it was about being wet. I know, of course, every night they had these. I don't know what they had mules.
Mm-hmm.
We were up in the hills, and they would hire these Italians with the mule skinners with their mules, and they would bring the supplies up at night, and that's how we got out. Of course, you couldn't. There was no way to get out of there, but you could walk, or I could walk.
Mm-hmm.
But I walked down behind a mule, hang onto his tail, going all the way down the mountain in mud up to my knees.
Were you the only 2 people wounded? The fellow that set off the mine?
I don't remember, because
Okay.
I must have been confused myself probably. But we got down the mountain and hang on the mules' tails.
Were you given any aid? Were you given aid by a corpsman?
Yeah, I
before
think
you?
yes, I would believe. Yeah, the corpsman probably put a bandage on. And I went to a field hospital, and I went to I think a general hospital in Rome. They call it general hospital.
How long were you out of the line?
Oh, I can't tell you. I don't remember.
Okay. Did you return to the same unit?
Yes. He kept sending you back.
Okay.
You had to be dead before they sent you home, I guess.
What happened the second time you were wounded?
The second time, I guess we were going up a hill. In fact, I think we went up the hill too far. We were on like a point, and I think we were getting shelled from the rear because you know, on the opposite, we were too far up. It was an artillery shell.
Was it friendly fire?
Oh no,
Oh.
it wasn't friendly
Okay.
fire. Just as we went up there, somebody says, that farmhouse there is the battalion aid station. That was the first time. And I just walked down and then I was through the legs, and it was really difficult to walk, but they just said, you go, we can't help you. So we just
So you had shrapnel in your both legs?
in your legs, yeah. And I just walked down that farmhouse they designated as the aid station, and then an ambulance could get up that far.
So you went back to a general hospital again?
Yes. I think I was wound up in a hospital in Leghorn. Livorno, they called it.
Could you tell us about your third time then?
Well, the third time, no, it was very little. I think one of the Germans threw a hand grenade at us, and it just, as I saw it coming, I just turned, and I just got a piece of, just a wound through the back, and they just patched it up. And I just stayed right where I was. It wasn't that big a deal.
So you didn't have to go to the hospital?
No. They didn't go to an aid station.
But being that you were wounded 3 times, did you get any kind of R&R or furlough because of it?
No, not because of that. No. They didn't know the meaning of that. They just, I mean, the hospital. Your hospital care was good. I can say that, but they just, they put you back to where you were before, and then you just went back on. Nobody went. You didn't go home. Of course, I wasn't. Apparently, some did, of course, but it wasn't that bad. Apparently.
Yeah.
Do you recall any other incidences while you were in combat, or any other Anecdote you want to mention?
Oh, not really. I don't know what you want to hear.
Well, just about your experiences while you were in the service.
All I can think of when of course, the Olympics are on now in Torino, and I spent quite a bit of time. I think I spent quite a bit of time in Torino, and there was a officers' hotel there, and they must have picked somebody somehow they took my name out of a hat and says, "You want to go there and work that officers' hotel?" That was good, but the war was over then. But so it was in Torino, and that was a while. But then they moved that was only a few weeks, and they decided to put the hotel somewhere else, and we just went back to our unit and stayed there. But that was because Torino was a beautiful city, and of course, apparently it still is.
What kind of weapon did you carry?
M1.
And how did you like it as a weapon?
It was good. Of course, I don't like guns, but it was good. It was it was fine. You never had any trouble with them.
What were your officers like?
Well, it's like everything else. Some were good and some were bad, but generally they were good. Most of them were not most of them, but a lot of them were field commissions. You know, they knew what you were going through. They weren't any. It didn't seem to be any ROTCs or West Pointers, and they knew what you're up against every day. So.
Now you received the Bronze Star too.
This is true. Of course, I don't. Whether that's a big deal or not, I think it's if you got a Common Infantry badge, a Bronze Star came with it.
So when you were out on patrol, you went out with. Did you have an NCO or an officer with you at all, or?
Probably, but I can't recall at this point.
Okay.
So the one thing you said that stands out being in Italy was how wet and cold and damp it was.
Right. Of course, but I was just thinking the time you said the second time I was wounded. That was a warm day. It was warm. I remember. I don't know what the deal was. We had. I think we did. Ration didn't come up or water didn't come up. We didn't have any water for probably a day and going. They whatever they said. It was. I had to go across a little stream and don't ever drink out of those things. They're all poison. They could be poisonous. I thought, well, they're going to die of thirst. I'm going to die of a polluted water. So I had some. So I took some out of there because I was dying for a drink. I can't remember. I remember being so thirsty in my life.
Did you have rations most of the time? Or
rations. When we were on the line, K rations.
Were you ever able to get food from local people?
No.
Did you ever have much contact with the local people?
Not too much. I mean, people say about the food. I said, well, if restaurants were open, we weren't allowed to go in them because the Italian people had so little themselves that we were not. It was not just forbidden to, take any of their food. Of course, Americans, they always had a lot of food, but they had to get it to you first.
Now, did you? You were there for the winter. Did you ever have winter gear?
Yeah, we had those. I forget. I'm trying to think what the name of they called them. Like boots. Like they were something like those Maine hunting shoes, something like that type of thing. If I recall.
Arctics or something like that.
Something like that.
Did you get overcoats and?
Oh yeah.
Did you get to see any USO shows or anything like that?
Yeah, we did. I remember seeing the Andrews sisters at one time. Of course, they were big at that, but you don't remember them. But,
I can as
but they were big. They were big there.
Yeah.
Did you ever get any liberty in any of the cities? And
yeah, at one time we got liberty in Venice, and we stayed on the Lido, which is it's really pretty nice. Lido is an island out in the Venice Harbor, and we stayed at a hotel there, which was quite nice. Of course, the officers had the better hotels, but it was very nice. It was like going to it was a resort. It had a nice sand beach. I'm trying to think. one time I was supposed to go to Switzerland for a week. Somehow that got canceled. That was a big disappointment. I never got to Switzerland since, or had any thought of getting there.
When did you return back to the States?
In November of '45.
Now, when the end of the war happened in Europe, was there much celebration in your unit?
Oh yeah. Oh, was there ever? Until General Boldy come along and says that the 34th Division will go home by way of Tokyo. So that wasn't received with smiles, but of course that never happened. Because the war was over. Before they would have a chance to organize such a thing, the war was over in Japan too.
Do you remember where you were and a reaction? Did you have a reaction when President Roosevelt died?
Oh yeah, that was well, like everybody else, a real tragedy. Of course, being a good Democrat, I thought a lot of them.
Okay. Were you discharged as soon as you got back to the States?
Yes, yes.
Did you ever make use of the GI Bill?
Well, in a way, I got later on. Well, what do you mean? Not through education, no, but through.
Did you buy a home using it?
Yeah, using the veterans loan and the mortgage, and got taxes reduced because of money you got, through your service.
Right. Did you ever use the 5220 Club?
Apparently not. I don't know what it is.
It was $20 a week for 52 weeks, of like an unemployment insurance or unemployment payment after you.
I went back to where I worked. I had worked at American Standard before I left, and I went back there afterwards.
Okay. Did you join any veterans organizations?
I belonged to DAV, Disabled American Veterans. I never belonged to anything else. I'm really not a joiner.
Okay.
I'm not active in that at all either, but I've been a life member for a long time.
Did you stay in contact with any that you served with?
No, not really. No, but I say it's funny because I go to the reunions,
Okay, I was just gonna
and
ask
I
you.
only met a couple of people there that I ever knew.
How long have you been going to the reunions?
It's like 21 years. So, this year, I told you this year it's in Buffalo.
Oh, it is.
I said it was at this hotel, but I spoke too soon. It's down the street. It's a holiday.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That way.
When is that going to take place?
It's July.
Okay.
We usually have it the weekend after 4th of July, according to how the 4th of July falls. The 4th of July falls like on a Thursday, then we have it the following weekend.
No, so there are just a few people then that you know at these reunions?
Yeah, I've met a lot of people. I've met good friends with many of them, but they really are not people that I knew in the service.
How do you think your time in the service changed or had an effect on your life?
How did it affect my life? Good question. It was an experience. I suppose in a way it was a good experience, but I wouldn't wish it on anybody.
Did you have any trouble adjusting to civilian life once you got back?
Not at all, no. I was a really good civilian.
Didn't have any nightmares or
No.
anything like that?
No. I adjusted easily. Say I went back to work where I was before, doing the same thing.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your interview.